A very warm welcome to Anis Adinwala. Welcome to our show, Anis ji. Anis Adinwala is a veteran of the oceans. He has over 24 years of experience in diving. He is one of the very first scuba diving instructors in India. He was tasked with setting up 2 dive centers in the uncharted waters of the Lakshadweep Islands in 1996 and 2000. Anis ji returned to Mumbai in 2003 and set up 2 passion projects. First one was Underwater Film Services, UFS, which is a specialized underwater unit to film sequences for Bollywood, television and documentaries. Second was Orca Driving Club, an end-to-end PADI 5-star dive center in Mumbai to bring scuba diving into the city. Once again, Anis ji, welcome to our show.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So, I'll start with my first question.
Yeah.
What made you begin scuba diving? What made you enter this venture? What was the thought process behind that you want to, yes, I want to join scuba diving?
So there was, it goes back to 1992 and 93 when I used to model a bit and I met Mr. Prahlad Kakkar. So I was a little lost in college and, so he said, you come and work with us. So I was in charge of looking at the model drawers with the photographs of girls, boys, aunties, uncles, kids, and so on to help in casting. In that drawer, I found a photograph of Prahlad and family. And the background was blue waters, white sand. So I asked him, where is this? He said, this is Lakshadweep. We have an island. We have a place there. We can start a dive center. I said, wow. So I think we should go there. So I insisted that we should go for a holiday. And we all went as an office staff holiday to Lakshadweep. But we had our own adventures on our way in. But finally, we made it to the island. And that's when the first time in 93, 94, I tried on a mask. And I looked underwater. It was the first time it happened to me. And then, I just fell in love with it and I was super comfortable. And then to inaugurate the diving center, Prahlad invited his instructor to come down to Mauritius, from Mauritius. And we inaugurated the dive center and we were the first students to certify under him under a federation called CMAS, which is a French federation. And then we continued living there, going back and forth. And then finally we stayed on and did our other courses and became instructors in Mauritius and came back. And then we were running the dive center in the Lakshadweep Islands. And then with time passing by, there was just no looking back. And I just kept diving and loved it. And a lot of people became friends and they learned with us. And it was a great space to be. So, to that effect, obviously in the initial stages, my parents were very apprehensive and, they said, what are you doing? So then I asked them to come to the island and I took my dad and mom snorkeling and diving and they said, wow, this is a great space to be. And it's been, how many years now? 24, 25 years almost that I've been diving and then helped in setting up another dive center in the Lakshadweep. So I have 2 dive centers under the same banner for Prahlad. And in the meantime, I also got married and then we were having our first child. So I was still living on the island and going back and forth. Post that, we decided to have a second child, and then my elder one has come to the island and grown up there a bit. He loved it, loves the space, and today he's a dive master. Yeah, he's in Mauritius at the moment, and he's diving with my instructor who inaugurated the dive center 25 years back. So it's a great thing that it's going on, and we run Orca Dive Club because then I told Prahlad that I need to move back to Bombay, and then I started up with him as a filming unit, and then that's when we did the Underwater Film Services. We specialize in shooting underwater films, and post that I created Orca Dive Club because I wanted to travel and dive. So the best way was to teach people diving and take them diving. So that's what we do.
So Anis ji, when you took this decision, yes, I want to go in scuba diving, and you decided to join this venture. So by when were you ready to start instructing or start scuba diving confidently? I'm asking from a student perspective. Suppose I am your teacher, how much time will I take to become ready?
It had gone off in the middle, but I quite gather your question. Can you hear me?
I can hear you clearly.
Okay. So, firstly, scuba diving is a sport which is an adventure sport.
Okay.
You need to have the love for adventure, the water, the mountains, the environment, and nature
Okay.
level, which is called the dive master level. Now, this whole process to get to dive master can be done in 6 months. It can be done, uh, within a year. Because what happens is that it's not only the certification. Along with the certification comes a huge lot of experience, and beyond that, just take up photography and do underwater photography. So there's so many channels within the field that you can do, because we come under the bracket of recreational diving. We are not going down to repair bridges, pipes, and so on and so forth. That is commercial diving. That is a different ballgame, that you are exposed to being underwater for longer hours. Here we do one dive in the morning, one dive post breakfast, one dive maybe in the afternoon, and if needed, a night dive, and so on and so forth. So it's a recreational dive. Each dive will last for 1 hour. So what goes into it is a lot of teaching, patience, to understand each individual's wants, because everybody getting into this medium where we don't belong has to have the correct information about the equipment that is used. How do you maintain the equipment? It is your life support system. You have to respect it. And obviously, when you're learning, you are, following the rules, and it's a lot of fun. But when you're learning, you have to follow it correctly. And obviously, then you dive in the open water, in the sea. So then you have to have that respect for the ocean. So you don't start touching things and fiddling things and breaking coral. That is not acceptable, because these things can, be against you as a diver. There is something that you have to have, is a healthy respect for the sea, because firstly, at the end of the day, you feel that, hey, it's great to breathe underwater and it's so cool. Don't take it for granted, because tomorrow at that depth, if your equipment malfunctions for whatever reason, you should know how to help yourself and help somebody else whose equipment is malfunctioned or needs some kind of support. So it's a buddy sport. There's no competition here. The business is a competition in its own, but that's separate. But if you're teaching somebody, you have to enjoy teaching, then become an instructor. Otherwise, keep diving, no problem at all. There's, you can just stay at a rescue diver level and keep diving, and then you can dive a lot of places in the world. Because there are other people that will be diving with you, keeping an eye on you, and you could just be a guest and diving all over and exploring the reefs.
You are talking about respecting the ocean, and we should be taking care of the flora and fauna underwater. You have also spoken about possible malfunction of the equipment. So I have a naive question here. As a beginner, is it safe for with respect to sharks or piranhas? I watch Hollywood movies and I have seen sharks coming over and some other dangerous. So how safe it is to be underwater and not be attacked by these predators? I'm sorry if my question sounds very naive.
No, it's fine. It's okay. It's a normal question. It's understandable. Now, whatever you see on the big screen, where a shark is eating up people and biting people's legs off and so on and so forth, it's a reputation that is created for that shark. Okay, it's a very bad reputation that is created. Yes, it is a fantastically made films. A lot of money is got into it. Technology is used. Animation is used. Its computer graphics are used to enhance that, and sound is added so that when you visually watch it, your hair stands up, saying "Wow!" So that creates that anxiety. Similarly, if you instead just start watching more of National Geographic and Discovery and Ocean Planet and the Blue Planet, you will see those animals up close to cameras. They're not biting people. We are seeing how they live. We as human beings are going down in their space. So you have to respect it. It's like you go to a forest and look at a tiger. You can't go in front of the tiger and say, "Hey, how are you? I'm here. I want to take a photograph." I don't know what he's going to do. Similarly with the sharks and with the other marine life, you have to respect the ocean. You have to be down there. Yes, they are big animals. Yes, they have sharp teeth. In case of a temperamental change in behavior, he can get really close to you. But you need to keep calm, basically. The idea is to keep calm. There have been diving accidents, there have been diving incidents. So we've learned with all these things. So I've dived with many kinds of sharks, like tiger sharks. I've dived with bull sharks. I've dived with hammerhead sharks. It's amazing. So you just need to keep calm and watch them, because once you have a great vibe underwater with the animal, not that he's looking at, he's already sensed you and looked at you way even before you thought that you saw him, because they sense you at a distance. They can sense your heart beat. So yeah, at a distance. So you don't even know. Sometimes you dive in waters and suddenly a shark just comes right next to you. So you don't need to be startled. Yes, it is a big animal passing you by, but they are not here to bite you and eat you. That's not the job. They will eat when they're hungry, and they will go for it. So mistake of identity is normally when you have humans being attacked by sharks, like a windsurfer or a surfer on the surface. A shark normally attacks from under to surface because that's their force which they generate to come up to the surface. So if you've seen lots of videos, you must have seen a shark coming out of the water and grabbing hold of a bird, grabbing hold of a sea lion, anything that's floating around. So I mean, they are big. They're beautiful. Their movement is amazing. Sometimes you wonder if a shark is scared and he runs away. He disappears like an arrow. Can you imagine the speed he disappears at, and what kind of movement that is underwater? Like faster than a torpedo. It just goes like an arrow. Yeah. So.
Okay. Anish ji, can you please speak a little bit more about Karo To Jano? Where this motto came from, and what does it mean? Did you came up with this motto?
So, you asked me a question before this about diving and what you can do. So, Karo To Jano is basically a simple Hindi saying, which generated in a recording studio with a friend, because he is a fantastic editor, and we were chatting, and then I've always insisted that he dives. So he never, took it on because he was not a water-friendly person. So my statement to him was, if you don't, karega nahi to janega kaisa. It started from there, and then I ride a motorcycle, and I was enjoying that ride suddenly, and then I thought of what I was talking to him, and then it just fitted in my head, saying karega nahi to janega kaisa, to karega nahi to karo to jano. It stayed in my head, and I met a lot of people and generally chatting, and then we created this as a text. So it's basically try it to find out, or try to believe it, and you take it from there. Either you love it or you hate it, or it's not a space that you want to be in, or I want to do this and keep diving whenever I get the opportunity, time, or I want to become a professional.
Okay. So I want to know, what is the ideal person who should consider scuba diving? I am asking mostly in the light of these days, there's so much of stress amongst the corporates. So sometimes I would recommend these corporates and people who are stressed out to take up scuba diving as a recreation. Would you recommend scuba diving for such people? Or according to you, what is the ideal profile of a person who would like to go for scuba diving? Any age limit, any health limitations? What is your advice on this?
So there is no specific profile of a person who can dive. If you don't know how to swim, but you have this anxiety and this curiosity that I have to try it, you can try it, because it is going to be a half-an-hour briefing with the instructor. If you're in a place like any diving destination, in Mumbai, obviously I can introduce you to diving in a swimming pool, but it's more controlled. So to add the excitement, if you try something like scuba diving first time in the open water, you'll be excited with all being underwater along with seeing fish. In the pool, you'll see tiles and you'll see the instructor's face, but you will get the feeling of the sport. So it's not that there has to be a specific profile of a person. It's anybody can dive. After which it's somebody who has to realize. So once the word Karo To Jano has hit your head and you've tried it, now the decision lies in the individual's hand. I can only offer you, this is available, you should try this, you can do this, you can take it further. You are superb in the water. When I dive with you, you should, I think, enhance it and continue the education and climb the ladder. So I can advise you as to what is available. But it is, anybody can try it, anybody can do it. But yes, if to get a certification, it is mandatory to know that you should know how to swim. I'm not saying you should be a champion swimmer, but you should at least have no fear of being thrown off a boat by mistake. Like if your boat is choppy and you fall off into the water, you should not be drowning. You should be swimming back to the boat. You know?
So at Orca scuba diving, what are the different levels of certification? Like till what level can I go? From the beginner's level to what level, and what are the differences?
So as a profile of a company and being situated in Mumbai, we have the sea, which is really beautiful, but unfortunately we can't dive in it because it's not charted waters. There's lots of fishing nets, so I can't dive off the sea. So I am restricted to starting up somebody's course in a swimming pool, post which they can travel. So within our country, you can look at Andamans, you can look at Lakshadweep. Along the coastline, there is Goa, there is Netrani, there's Pondicherry, there's Kovalam, there's Rameshwaram. So all these places have access to the sea and have got clearer water, so you can dive. Like Lakshadweep and Andamans has got outstanding visibility on good days. So visibility also plays an important role. Like I can't go off Bombay water and dive there because firstly, I won't be able to see my own hand. So it's just a point for somebody to experience something like that. Coming back to, advice for people, again, I told you, it depends on how you want to take it further. So I've had friends, parents coming to me and saying, my son is interested in this sport. What do I do? So my advice to them is don't hold them back. Let them do what they want. He'll find his path because you will find what you like doing. And yeah, today he's an instructor. He lived in Thailand for many years, came back. Now he's working with us. And we are doing a lot of diving, and he's helping to teach in the pools, traveling with the guests. So it's a different lifestyle. Plus, he goes back on the weekday because we teach only on a Saturday and Sunday.
Okay.
In the pool. It's a nicer time to teach. We have the entire pool to ourselves. And it's convenient so that the students enjoy themselves. Moving on, then we do a travel. So either it could be Lakshadweep, Andamans, or anywhere else like a Maldives, Thailand, Indonesia. They're all top class diving destinations in the world. Egypt. So, the sea is the limit. You can go anywhere and dive. But we just help you because we are in Bombay. We are restricted to a few things. So we look at advising people, helping them, channelizing them, getting them hooked up with the correct dive center, and then they take it on from there.
Okay, very nice. So Anishji, you are into underwater filming services for a very long time. Can you share some interesting stories about it? Any interesting person you met, or any anecdote you want to share with us? Or we would be happy to hear from you.
Well, there's so much. It's been 24 years of diving, but I can tell you the first time I put a mask on.
Okay.
In my life, and I put my head in the water. I could see fish. Now the fact that you're in the open sea in the Lakshadweep, and you're swimming around in the sea with a mask, and then you're seeing these colorful fish, and you put your head out and you think about is it real or is it a dream? And then you go back in, and then suddenly 3 hours have passed and you're just hanging with these small fish, big fish, colorful fish, just watching what they're doing, living like, these small anemone fish called clownfish. They're just hanging out and they're looking at you, and you're going free diving. And it was a shallow lagoon. It was like 4 meters deep. But below the pier of the jetty, there was so much of life. And that really blew my brain. So that was my first time I put on a mask. And then when we did the dive, obviously, we were underwater, getting comfortable with the breathing and looking at, now you can look around and then there's so much happening around you. So that was the fun part. And recently, this is 24 years later, an experience with swimming with the orcas. This was in the Galapagos. We went with a group of people. We had chartered a liverboard. A liverboard is basically you live on the boat. You have cabins in suite bathrooms, great food, lounge area, top deck, sun deck, and you have inflatable boats that take you diving to different dive sites. So one of the days we were diving at the Darwin's Arch, which is a very famous dive site. And we were diving and we saw this huge whale shark, because the pregnant whale sharks come around that time to, travel through that area. And during while we were finishing the dive, there was my guide who was very excited, and he saw a huge dolphin, which was not a dolphin, it was an orca, which I spotted, he spotted, another few guests spotted. And then we were finishing our dive, so we were really excited and we were jumping on the boat. And then we saw them come out and go back in the water. So then we followed them. And then I was lucky to have my camera with a little dome port. And I said, is it possible to jump in? Obviously, you have to find out. You can't just be a hero and jump in, you can't do that. So obviously, we took the permissions, and the guys were there saying it's safe. They're friendly, they're good, because they're here hunting the hammerhead sharks. And we saw, when we jumped in, there was like 9 or 10 orcas swimming around. They were going down. I could see the hammerheads disperse because it's the apex predator. Nothing gets close to an orca. It's too big, it's too powerful, and it's one of the most. It's actually the most powerful animal in the sea. And I was swimming. I saw like 7, 8. There was a baby orca, and then there was this one female orca that started going deeper and turning around on her belly and showing me her belly, and then started coming up towards me. I don't know what to do. My camera was rolling. I said, I have to get this, but I was rolling the camera, luckily with a wide angle lens, so it was capturing what I wanted to. But I was watching that animal. It was coming close to me, and we had exchange of, I don't know what, some energy, some positive vibes. And it's beautiful. It came really close to me. It was like around 4 feet away from me, and then looked at me, turned away, and did a little dance and went off. So it was beautiful. It was one of the most amazing experiences I've ever had. And Orca Dive Club, swimming with an orca, loved it. It has made my day. So now we can retire in peace. That's how it feels. But it was great. So in fact, 2022 we're going back to Galapagos. I'm not promising orcas. Orcas was just a luck by chance thing. But we're going back in October of 22. And let's see how things shape up then. Because otherwise we're diving all over the world and traveling.
So what is your favorite diving location? You are saying you dive all across the world, and you have spoken about various diving spots in India. What is your personal favorite, Anish, diving location?
My personal favorite is home. It's called Lakshadweep. It's got fabulous diving. The islands are beautiful. I spent around 9 years living on that island. So it was a great experience. I lived bare feet. I was living there, teaching people diving. We met a lot of guests who kept coming in, diving, learning with us. And till date, they're friends. And now that I am on my own as an independent company, some people who dive with me still dive with me, and we keep going along with them on different trips. So that's what we keep doing. So for me, Lakshadweep, yes, is the top place. Then I would say Galapagos, then Indonesia. Fabulous places in Indonesia diving.
So it must be a great contrast for you to coming from Lakshadweep and now living in Mumbai, where it's so much of concrete. It must be lot of difference, complete difference.
Well, from concrete, I went into beautiful white sands, and blue waters, and adapted for those 9 years. It took me a while, because whenever I came back home from the Lakshadweep, I used to take 1 week to recover, because I used to get allergies because of the air quality and so on and so forth. But that's part of living. So obviously, then I adapted, and now I'm here. So every time I get an opportunity, or we're planning a trip out, I am the first one who will be on that trip for sure, along with the guests who want to come along. If not, then my instructor will go and will continue the trip. But I try and go for most of the trips, because that was the agenda, to come back to Bombay and teach people diving, travel with them, get them certified, and so on and so forth. But obviously, you can't do everything alone. You need a good team, and I have a class team. Like all the instructors who are working with us, they like teaching. They're not doing it as a profession. They're not doing it just as a job. I have to teach this guy, and from the manual, it's point A, point B, point C. No, it's they adapt themselves, and they teach, and they take their time. Sometimes there are people in the pool who are struggling. So we keep them a little separately with the dive master individually to focus on their skills, and then they get comfortable doing what they have to do. Because there's a whole lot of skills that you need to firstly be demonstrated, and you watch them. they're spoken about. How do you do them? And then you take the skill on. You may make your own mistakes. That's why the pool training is your place to make all your mistakes. You have a problem, we'll solve it then. So that's about how we do training.
How long can a normal average person stay under the water? Is there any particular time frame? Like, no, after 2 hours you have to come out, or you can stay for a longer period of time and you can be okay once you come out. Is there any time frame?
Yeah, so recreational diving is basically an hour.
Okay, 1 hour.
Yeah, and you can do 5 dives in the day if you want to. If you're certified, you can do 5 dives. You can do but you'll have to have enough time in between each dive, which is called your surface interval. Because the physics of diving, the physiology of diving is very important. That's why there's a whole theory package that you need to understand and go through 5 different sections and obviously give an exam for it, because you need to understand that. Because diving has its added risks involved. So you need to understand that. So 1 hour is good. Keep a 2-hour break, go back again diving. So you can do that 5 times in a day. No problem.
I have one last question for you, Anishji. What are your efforts to conserve the natural habitats of the ocean? As a diver, do you do something to preserve our natural habitat, the orca?
Well, it all starts with the teaching. So if you are a novice diver and you have come to the pool day 1, we start with the equipment. You start with the pool training. Your 2 days pass in that. Obviously, interacting with the instructors, they're talking about their experiences, and generally talking about how things are damaging the ocean and the marine life underwater all the time. So educating them is important. And I'm affiliated with PADI, so they also have a program called Diving for Debris. So what we do is basically, whenever we are diving, if we see plastic or we see cups or cans or anything floating around, you pick it up, you take it out, and get it out of the ocean. So that's our part. So obviously it's always to educate the people. So if I'm on a dive trip with 18 or 19 guests, everybody has a similar mindset about respecting the ocean and protecting the ocean. So if anybody diving underwater as a certified diver will be in conversations spoken to about the environment, the health of the reef, and so on and so forth. And if you do see any animal in distress, you don't go out to help. The professionals are around to assist and help if they can. Like, for example, we rescued a turtle in Lakshadweep, which was trapped in nets. So, the guest obviously cannot jump in and start cutting the net, because I don't know what they do, but carefully it was helped out. We cut the nets out and that turtle was happy and he left. He looked at us and he went away. And the net, we got back. That is debris. These ghost nets that are floating around, which are trapping a lot of fish, and this trawling that happens, they're just pulling out a lot of stuff from underwater, which is not good. I mean, people want to fish, you fish for your livelihood, yes. But for the market, they're using big nets. And also, I mean, it's the industry before, it has always been there before the diving industry. So it's an ancient fishing industry. So we can't really stop that, but you can always educate them as to better means and better ways to fish. So that's what we do.
Wonderful. Very, very nice work you all are doing.
And we teach a lot of kids, basically. We do a lot of school programs. So educating the children is important. So we do a lot of workshops with the kids in their schools. They have, I've done for kids who are like 6, 7, 8, 9-year-olds. We've done projects with them. They have a pool in the school. So we're doing some snorkeling, teaching them how to free dive. Basically having fun, plus we make them see videos, and then we tell them that make a project out of the plastic and create your best and your favorite underwater marine species. So we have the kids have created stuff with plastic, paper, sweet wrappers, and so on and so forth. So many things, and very creative, and it's quite nice. And the school has preserved it and kept it and framed it. It's interesting for that.
All right. So we have come to the end of our podcast. Is there any message you want to give to our viewers?
Well, in these times, stay safe, stay home. Don't be a hero and come out. Just stay inside, and and look after yourself and the others around you in these times, because these times are right now. I don't know how long they're going to last, but it's here to stay. So I guess this is the message where that is concerned. And once diving resumes, look after the oceans, guys. It's okay.
Thank you so much for your time, Anish ji. It was a pleasure having you at our podcast. I learned so much from you, and I'm sure our viewers are also learning so much from you. Thank you once again for coming.
Thank you so much.